budget. Some questions raised by Mr. Jankowski with respect to impact fees. I think it's important to establish a demarcation on impact fees, that the impact fees that we collect as provided under state statute, we need to prepare a needs analysis, and that needs analysis does not impact operations at all. What the impact fees provide the village the opportunity to do is to set money aside on an incremental basis for each home or business that comes in for capital improvements in the latest instance that only relates to buildings and land acquisitions. There was a provision in the impact fee law before which allowed us to set money aside for fire equipment, public works equipment. That was eliminated in the budget. We have been as plats have been submitted, we've indicated that the village could not approve that plat because we need to have that money set forth for the dump truck that's going to plow that road, for the fire engine and the rescue squad that's going to take care of the new subdivision. And developers have been donating that based on the number that was developed in the needs analysis, which is $891. The other question that you brought up is developments adding to the tax base, and developments do add to the tax base. Some not as much as you'd like, and some are better. But we receive developments based not on how much tax money they're going to get, but it's based on what the village's land use plan is. Areas of the village are going to have residential development, and residential development does not typically generate a lot of tax dollars. Some areas for manufacturing or commercial do, and they'll generate more tax dollars. And so you've got that kind of conflict, or that pressure between two competing sides of the municipal government directed by the state. One is the need and the requirement to have a comprehensive plan that protects everyone's interest that owns property. That would be a farmer, a residential property owner, manufacturing, or commercial. Those people need to have some certainty that in the ownership of their property, they're going to be able to go forward and know that their property will develop in a certain manner. And the village has to honor that. The other side is the tax pressure, the tax issue. I mean, we want to make sure that I think the board and every government, local government, wants to make sure that they're collecting the appropriate and fair and equitable amount of taxes from everybody. And sometimes that doesn't match up really good against those land right issues, because the guy and a gal who live in a $150,000 house aren't going to pay a lot of taxes. Ideally, they won't be generating a lot of needs, but we don't. In Wisconsin, it's taxes are collected not on a per capita basis, which some people would like. It's collected based on the value of the property. So, whenever we can have a development that does help out, that's a positive thing, which kind of folds into your discussion about Abbott, or maybe the corporate park. Those are being funded by TIF districts. So, one table that Kathy put up was for the TIF, and she indicated on there, we're really cautious about how we spend our money in the TIF district. We don't want to be that far ahead of the development. So we wait, make sure that we don't put the sewer, water, or street improvements in until we're positive, or until we've got a developer online, or even a building that's going to be within the development, to know that they're coming. So when that road goes in, and sewer, water, as soon as that goes in, when the building's coming up, there's going to be tax revenues that are going to pay that off. So I think in the layman's parlance, and I know you understand this, is really what TIF districts do is they bank future tax savings. And that happens. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you look at the first phase of Lakeview Corporate Park, this community received over almost $500 million in added value to spread the cost of government around. And Pleasant Prairie alone, that had significant, just for the village tax, a significant impact. We were sending back rebate checks to residential property owners because we had so much money coming in at the very end, and we had more money we needed because the TIF was that successful. And concurrently, the next year, the village's taxes went down, and they do go up after a while, but it brings it back down to a normal level. The extent to which we're successful in attracting quality development that's going to have lasting value, we'll see a lot of benefits over the long haul. When you're doing economic development and you're creating a meaningful tax base for the community, you can't look at it from budget to budget. I mean, you have to look at portions of it, budget, but you're making that long-term investment that's gonna have buildings like we have in Lakeview Corporate Park, buildings that have substantial quality and value. They're gonna be enduring over a longer period of time. If you compare that corporate park to, and I'm not casting stones at everybody because it's, you know, different times, but say the Bristol Industrial Park is made up of, 20 acres of pole buildings. The city's original industrial park, again, another 20 acres of some rather modest pole buildings and metal structures. The value that they have per acre versus Pleasant Prairies is non-comparable. So it's a little bit tougher or difficult to deal with some of the people because we have high standards, but that'll pay off for us and our kids over the long haul because those will be high quality developments. And over time, those will show up on the tax bill. But we have to bank those future tax savings now by making sure those investments happen. That will happen, and that's going to happen. And we'll be seeing some things probably reasonably soon that's going to give everybody a time frame to do it, and we still need some more time to make that come together. But that is a mammoth project. I don't want anybody to think that this is just something that we drag our feet on. We're talking about a Fortune 100 company that's designing and planning 500 acres at the same time. And we struggled with Wispark when they were initially going, and they did like a general master plan of their 1,800 acres. They did that over 6 months. This is a rather finite where the buildings are, what the things are going to be, where the transportation goes, where the sewer, the water, the stormwater, the broadband, the cable, the electricity, and to what extent. It's not only where it's going, to what extent. So we're looking at a $1.5 billion development designed out today. And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for them, it's all for us. But the community will have no quantity in the end. And everybody will be able to see what's going to happen. And that's what happens. They want to know what's going to happen too. And they want to know that it's going to be acceptable. So I think that's a good thing. Does that mean as that come on, that we immediately decrease the tax rate and the levy because they're there? Well, eventually it will be. I mean, the economics of public budgeting is pretty simple. And you have certain expenses which you tie to what you need to do business, and then you take that and divide it amongst the number of people who are paying taxes. How big is your tax base? The bigger your tax base, the lower your cost of government. Pleasant Prairie, compared to a lot of communities that are 36 square miles and 20,000 people, has a pretty big tax base, and so our mill rate is lower than a lot of other communities. As we add on these other businesses, yes, our costs will spread amongst more people, and we'll be able to do with less. But that doesn't happen overnight, and so we work to those goals. And I think that one of the things that the board kept in mind, and I do when I prepare a budget, propose a budget. There's two ways of looking at a budget. The first way is to say, okay, how cheap can I make this thing go? If you start off and say, okay, I can't raise my taxes over a certain level, well, you got to know where that floor is. But on the top end, we have obligations and responsibilities to provide for people's welfare and protection, whether that's having police officers in sufficient supply and quantity, paramedics, firemen, that the roads work, that we can plow them when they need to be plowed, that we get people where we need to be. Those are the things we have to do. So we're allocating those resources out to do that based on the tax base we have available to us. And sometimes some people tend to look towards did you stay to the cap, or how much do you freeze it? The real issue is how much can you get done with the resources you have available and still meet all your obligations. In regards to Mr. Tinny Box, I guess I don't know. I guess I'll defer to Kathy later on to see what numbers are different.